All right, all right. Happy Friday to all you devils out there. It's Friday the 7th of June, and of course we're going to look at Bitcoin here. So some interesting things happening here. Now this is the count that we've been this has been my primary count for some time here, and now as we've started this correction, which this count would imply was ultimately due. So the idea being here that we had just gone through the 1, the 2, the big 3 here, down for the 4 and up for the 5. So we've got our one wave. Right? That's been the thinking here, and the count. Well, the count supports it. There's no. We have a clear set of Elliott rules being followed here within this. Well, within the way I have it labeled. So you look at that and you go, okay, well, if that's the 1, well, we're anticipating some sort of an A, B, C, and we'd be looking for it down here at the 50. So let's call that, 6,200-ish. Up we go. Well, so as we sit here now with Bitcoin showing some strength today, we're back over 8,000. Well, what if this is the depth of the correction that we get? And if we're going to go up from here and start moving, well, at the very least in a motive wave here, if we go up and we're off to challenge these highs here, well, what does that do to our count? Is it likely that would be our second? Right, so obviously, not that it's not possible. It would just be less likely. So you have to look at that and go, okay, well, could we be done here? Well, with that said, let's go to the 60 and take a look at it. So the A, the B, the A is just a straight free fall, right? So you just got to make do with what you've got there. So the B, certainly within line, right? We break, what did we do here? 786, I think, right? So so we break the golden zone, get 786, typical for a B wave. Now down we go here. So where's the variable here? So per this count, if we're finished here, we got to play with a double bottom here, and in effect a truncated 5. Now, there is an alternate in here, which you can probably see here. Certainly you can see it on your own charts. Let me get that as that moves off here. So you can look in here. Is this 3, 4, 5? I think the 1, 2 is solid, but here's a candidate. So you've got a candidate for this to be playing this way. 3, 4, the 5 is in here. Now, does that look like 1, 2? Again, it's possible. I mean, technically, we don't overlap, but this certainly doesn't look like it would be it's the start of anything. Now, from this pivot, as we get, it looks like maybe we're getting something started here. So I'm more inclined to put the 5 over here, even though that forces me to work with a double bottom here. I think until proven otherwise here, this is a reasonable count, and so you'd play this you'd have to play 1, 2, very shallow 2 here, 3, 4, 5 of the 3. So the question mark here is can we really dig? Oh shit, let's go to a 15. Can we really get a 1, 2 out of that? Let me pop this up here, see if it looks any better on the smaller time frame. Excuse me. Yeah, you probably could do it here. So there's the 1, 2. You'd have to go. Yeah, I think you'd have to do 3, A, B. Shit, can I get 5 in there? That's going to be tight. Now let me get that. It's ridiculously high. Let's get down here. So yeah, boy. So you see the problem here? So if you've got a flat, right? So it's a stretch to try and get that as. So the 3 of the B is solid, but if we're going to get a 3, 3, if we're going to get a flat, we need a 3, 3, 5. So can you? It's dicey there. So that has me thinking here. So we'd have A, B. We're going to have a shallow C here for the 4. Now as we come down, the 1, 2 is there. So I'm all the way down to a 15. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get this 3 in. So this would be over here. So we'd have to go. Oh shit! So we have to go through. Fuck, that's a little bit of a problem. So how are we gonna do this? So if I go 1, 2, it looks like 3, 4, 5 here. So this would be the 3, 4. I don't have a good 5 there. Oh shit! Frustrating. So you see what I'm running into here. So you'd have to go maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what have we completed there? What have we completed there? So so unless we have, could we have an expanded flat here? So we might have to go A, B, C. I think we might be able to do it this way. So that would come down here. So this stays as the 3. So just out of curiosity, let's see what that looks like. Yeah, 2618. That's pushing it for the 3. So I think, right? So sometimes it's just what's the best compromise here if you can't dig much out of it here. So so again, you're trying to get 5 here. Again, as I will often tell you, I mean, they break down at some point here. So this is just your best calculation of what. Really, it's a function of what follows it. Okay, so this does not look like we're starting off of anything impulsive, or even I think it's a stretch to try and pull that as a 5. Let's go back to the 60 and see if we can. I got sidetracked here a little bit. So it's tricky here. There's no question that this bit here, if you're trying to apply strict Elliott rules, is a challenge, right? There is no place here where it's obvious. Okay, I can see it. We've got, so the double bottom, of course, is the first problem here. So, but let's just stay with that initial line of thinking here, that we've completed something here into a double bottom. Well, whatever this is happening here, first thing we got to deal with is the resistance. So from our high up here, how do we look? Well, so first note this. So before I draw anything, right, we know this pattern here, right, whether we're using, we'll call it a double bottom. This 50 is one that they like. So from this pivot to the low, I'm going to use the lowest low here, right? This will be a bit of a tell. Now note here, we've got a little cluster here. We've got a little bit of a volume profile here, which is likely tied to this. So if we're going to come up here and test this, well, we're already through the A wave here. So this will be a bit of a tell. What kind of reaction do we get here? If we come and start to head down, well, that would set us up for this. So there will be software there waiting to sell that. Now, it doesn't mean we can't get through it. It's just we can recognize there's likely to be some resistance there. And if as software kicks in, I've got a dominant high to a dominant low, so I know software will be there to push for this target. Well, what does that do to us? Is that changing us? Well, then you might look at it and think, could I have a diagonal going in? So potentially, I'd have a 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We've already, so in terms of relabeling, you potentially you'd have a leading diagonal into an A wave to set up a larger ABC. So then you'd be pushing down here. I'm just going to use the algo target. So let's see what that does for us. Okay, so if we come, what am I trying to do here? So if we go, no, that was where I was here because I was pulling from this. Excuse me, guys. Okay, so there's the 50. There's our target. So I'm going to use this here. All right, so if we come down here and this becomes a leading diagonal, well, then we'd be anticipating this. So then we'd be looking for something along these lines here. I'm just going to split the difference and then heading down. Now I got to scrunch a little bit here to get it. Okay, so then we'd be looking here. Okay, now we're getting a little closer to that initial target. So here's our 50. This is 6,600. The 50's at 61 and change. Now, of course, I'm projecting without these pivots, right? I don't have them. I don't know where this low. So it's all just a projection here, but that would get us closer to accommodating the idea. Let me bring it down here. That this is the pivot of the one wave. Okay, but for this to happen, right? So a few things have to play out here that we're just forecasting. This is just a potential roadmap, but this is what you want to do. Say, okay, well, if I'm not done with my correction here and I'm going to roll over, where could that be going, and how does that affect the count as I have it currently labeled, right? And by I mean you, right? As you have it on your chart. So what else could potentially be here? So if, again, I don't have these pivots, but I just do this to say, well, would that make sense? Well, look at that, right? And again, I'm just eyeballing it here. That's kind of funny that landed up there. But so potentially A, B, right? And we don't know what the subdivision looks like. Maybe we're down here. Maybe we're going second target, or we're going deeper down here. Right, that would split the 50 and the 618. So all of this, you want to have this alternate somewhere. So if it breaks down, now if we just do this, okay, you want to have an alternate count prepared for that, which I'm going to show you in a sec. But this is not unreasonable that we're not done here yet. Right, so the first tell, well, okay, do we break the algo here? Right, so here's our high of this pivot. If we break the 65 here, we lose that sell side algo, right? So that's a positive for bulls. So then you're looking for the first. If you break that, then if there's any retrace, then maybe this is 1-2 going in. Right, so again, just the idea is be prepared for every alternate here that you can think of in terms of labeling up, and now we're correcting. To some degree, we've corrected something, right? But is it this? Is this all we're correcting from this pivot, right, to this swing here? Will we come? We're in between. It's not to the tick. So sorry. Excuse me. We come to this little cluster here. We're in between the 50 and the 618. We got an algo target, right? So we're going. So if we're going up there, which is not unreasonable, right? Dominant. Right between the 50 and the 618, find a little support. If we're going to blow up and go after that's 9,700, count is invalidated. Something else is going on. So where's an alternate? If this is the start of it, and then we're going to retrace here and we stay internal and then push again, well, count is less likely to be as currently labeled. So you need to prepare an alternate for that. So I have it, if I can find it over here. So this is secondary count. Okay, this is ultimately, the more bullish count. Now this count's been floating around. I've seen it from some of my members, a few senseis. I've had some Twitter followers send this over. It's perfectly valid. And the premise being that this spike down here is just a correction on another degree. So as it's labeled on the other count, this is the 4 down here. We've gone up for the 5. Well, if this is going to hold here, we got to consider the possibility that we're just putting in the 4 and then the 5 still yet to come. Right? Symmetry would play. Now it would certainly be a dramatic extension in the third relative to the 1-2. But the count is all there, right? The subdivision. So God damn these allergies. So sorry, guys. 1, 2, 3. Is this ABC coming down here for the 4? Well, it's certainly within the realm of possibility. So from the 2 to the 3. Right, it is interesting. We bumped into that structure here. So just looking at this a pivot here. Is that what we ran into? No, the 233, right? Vegas wave catches it. The 233 catches it. We've got this nice little pocket here of support. Now, one thing that you want to pay attention to here, because this is what will concern any bulls. Now, I'm going to do it this way here. I'll do it 2 ways to show you in case you're not familiar with this. Okay, so as I have it over here, this is just visible range. So it's as I move it over here, that changes because it's taking in this. So if we just go visible range, right, we still have this, and I talked about this previously when the vulnerability here, as you can see over here, there is absolutely no support until we get down here. Right, until we get to this zone where we had this cluster, right? So this little pocket here of market acceptance is tied to this area here. But if we start to sell off, oh, there's just that huge vacuum over here. There's just no support anywhere relative to this swing. Right, so that's one way you can do it, and I think it may be a function of what permissions you have set up within your version of TradingView. But if I just pull that whole thing up there and then click it, well, you'll see this. Now, that's a little, I'm going to change this. I like to have these be bigger here. So let's go to 100 so I can see a little bit better. Okay, so now you see. So here's really what I'm talking about. Right, you see this, once we break here, there is nothing. There's just no support here. It's kind of what I was showing you over here. It's just a different way to look at it. So you can maintain, if you want to see it like this, so you can get this is the composite, right, of everything that we can see here that's going to include all of this data. Here's just swing low to swing high, right? So big, very little support if we start to break down. So the point being here, you could look here and say, oh, well, look at all that support I've got there. Well, yeah, that's a function of all of this, not this swing here. So if this starts to come down, That vulnerability is still there, which concerns me. So then you take it to the count and you say, oh, good thing we paused here. Good thing we found the support. Prior resistance becomes the support because we got a big hole here if this starts to roll over. So if this starts this and then we coming down here, well now, so think about that for a second. What does that do to the count? Does it change that? Nope. Doesn't, does it? So it's gotten kind of interesting here. Is this the 3 or the 1? Well, the depth of the retracement will be a bit of a tell, but this 3 is so big, we could come down to the 50 here and still have of course, the target doesn't change. We still have this possible scenario here, right? So we're going from here, so you look at that and go, oh, okay, well, the 4 to the 2, let's see how long it takes, if that's what's coming. But it wouldn't change this count. So this count is actually a little bit more versatile to be able to accommodate whatever's coming here. Now, where this starts to really change is if we're going to go up here and challenge this pivot, right? So then we lock in on the idea that this is the 4, right? But right now, it could be here, shit, could be at the 38. Again, though, look here, there's just, man, nothing there. So let's just, what if we did this? Right, that's textbook, right to the 38. Again, very little support, so it's going to need to be rejected quickly. There's just nothing there. So if it comes down here, there's just nothing there to hold it. So the 38, so if we approach the 38, I would be very surprised if we don't get to the 50 because there's just nothing there. So so if you're a bull and you're leaning into this count, we do not want to see this low get challenged again because we're operating on the premise that double bottom completes this correction. And now we're off and we're starting into what would be our first motive to give us a little 5, and then we're going to go for our 3, 4, and now we're going to, maybe we're going like that. So what to do? How do you trade it? Well, you gotta pick one, right? So you got 2 thoughts, right? Well, one is you just wait for more clarification. So how are we gonna know? Well, of course we never know, but we can reduce the probabilities here and reduce the risk. So if this is a double bottom here, and we're just getting started, the first test will be when we do start a retracement, whether it's profit taking or some news event, doesn't matter. So if we stay internal here, right, and then we go external, well, now we're looking better for the idea that we had a 1-2. Now, of course, right, until you get the 4-5, could still just be an ABC, right? Still, right? So it still sets up that possibility. So guys, you never know, but you can set up a trade here. So if we do something like this, so let's just map it out. Okay, golden zone. We're going up for the 3. All right, so if we're going to get a 1-2, well, here's the next trade as I see it. Right there, right? Again, I don't have this pivot, but once I get a pivot here and we start to come down, that's a reasonable risk reward. If you're looking for a trade, you're looking to get long, that's not an unreasonable place to be looking with clearly defined exit parameters, right? We take out, you could use the 786 if you like. But if you want to use the market structure here, well, let's do the risk reward. What do we look like? So let's split the difference just for easy numbers. All the way to the low. 3.5 to 1. 786, 7 to 1. Right? So, you want to be conscious of if we start to go here, we're not likely to, of course, again, it's certainly possible here that we're just going to blow and go and we're off to 10K, but more likely we'll do it in a series of impulse and correction, right? And then we'll get something like that. So if we do that now, then you got to look at that and go, okay, what is that, the 5 or is that the 1-2? Now it gets really interesting, right? Now, is that the 1 of the 5? So let's pull this off. So if we get, and again, I'm just stick drawing here, what the typical wave relationships would be. We start that. So if you're looking, then something like this comes down there. Yeah, you're buying. You're looking for the 1/3 of the 5th at that degree. Right? Same idea though. Same idea. We know you'd have a clear point where you'd know you were wrong. That's always the idea. Can we get positioned here in a zone where we have good probabilities? It's consistent with the count. It's consistent with what the algorithms are likely to do next. Again, this is hypothetical. Swing low, swing high. I get a retrace. I'm in the 50 to the 618. That's a buy, right? What else goes in there? Right? So just always, guys, it's the same thing every time. That's the power of it. Okay, so what else we get there? All right, potentially, you get a corner pocket here. All right, 1, 2. Would we be done here? Not likely, right? If that's 1, 2, where is that likely to be going, right? So now we've just, again, laying out the roadmap. If you're going to get the 3, what are we there? Now we're at 1162. All right, keep it going. 4, 5. Now we've got a potential 5th relative to this 4. It's just, it's the same thing, guys. It's nothing you haven't seen, just carrying that forward. So you're prepared. So now we have 2 counts here to work with. Again, just forecasting a roadmap, right? I have no idea, right? But that certainly is a potential scenario here, and just identifying where the opportunities are to get into that trade. If you don't get one, maybe you get stopped out on one, doesn't matter, right? So if you get stopped out, of course, the idea hopefully is you're not taking undue amount of risk, so it's just another trade. You're getting stopped out. It's just part of the game, right? So here we go. Oh, you got stopped out? Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to wait till I get the next one. Well, you got to take the next one. You got to take these, right? It's just the one you don't take. That's the mistake, right? What do we know about the market? Incredible ability to punish mistakes. So if you don't take this, guaranteed that's the one that goes. Right? It just seems to be consistent with the market. All right? It's the one you don't take where you're like, oh shit, I got stopped out on that last one. I don't know. I'm going to wait a little bit, right? I'm going to wait and get some confirmation. Oh, okay. Well, now it's really looking good. Okay, well then please tell me you're taking that one. Right? You got to get over that fear, and you're looking for certainty. There is no certainty. Right? Stop looking for it. Doesn't exist. Not in the markets. Right? Just you can't aspire to it. You can't try and be perfect. Perfection is unattainable. Don't aspire to it. You just want to be consistent. You want to be disciplined about the money management. Trying to be perfect or looking for the perfect indicator, the perfect technique. That's a fool's game. It doesn't exist. But my God, have indicator vendors and system vendors, holy shit, have they made a gazillion dollars trying to sell that dream to you. If it was out there, guys, I promise you I'd have found it, because there is damn near nothing I haven't tried to trade and tested and played with, right? And what I teach you is, after 20 plus, shit, I can't remember, it's almost 25 years now. What is the most consistent of everything I've looked at? And I have looked at, everything from trading the lunar cycle and the tides to the most wacky Gann numerology you can imagine. I've looked at all of it. This is consistent, right? If you're saying, oh man, I took that trade because I thought it was 1-2, I got stopped out, man, it didn't work. Yeah, right. So here, you got stopped out, right? Welcome to trading, right? So next time a trade lines up, right? Are you fearful? Are you overly excited? You want to be neutral emotionally, as the best that you can. Just another trade. Just another trade. Just remind yourself of that. It's not like, oh my God, if this one goes, oh, please, this time, please. You want to try and disconnect from that. I know, right? It's hard to do, right? With emotion, right? It's money. Money's emotional. Money is emotion. So you just, the way that you move in that direction is by doing what I mention all the time. You do it the same way every time. Every time. That's what leads to consistency, and that will lead to the consistency in your results. It's when you're jumping all around saying, oh shit, man, I don't know that Elliott stuff. It's kind of a pain in the ass to learn. There's all these rules. I'm just going to keep it simple, man. Let me just do a moving average crossover. Well, I'm not saying you can't be profitable with that, but just stick to it. If that's what you're going to do, commit to it. Trade it for 6 months. What do your results look like? Right, it's just you gotta pick something and then stay consistent. Right, but always in terms of priority, number one, money management, risk control. How much risk am I taking relative to my account size? Number two, what is there something obvious that I can take advantage of here? Right, so we know 2019. What percentage of the market here is trading? Is people trading versus software trading? Right, so we know it's extremely high, right, for software trading. So if we can identify what they typically do, that's a big advantage for us. We don't know, right? So I always will tell you there's always an algorithm on the other side. So you don't necessarily know who's going to win, but you can certainly identify their footprints, right, and try and get behind them. So if you're at the golden zone here, that's a reasonable place to be a buyer. That's not a great place to be a seller because you're just stepping right into where there's likely going to be software to support that. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't break here. That's not what I'm saying, right? Of course it can break. Of course it can. Okay, so you got stopped out, right? So something has changed. The market has revealed more information. What's the next thing the algorithm is likely to do? Can I identify that? And if I can, is there an Elliott count that's so damn obvious I can't miss it? Can I see the 5s and 3s? Is it obvious? Or now am I getting into some of the nuance here, right? So that once you start down the Elliott Wave rabbit hole, right, you're going to bump into this all over the place. So wait a minute, that could be this or that could be that. How is that? How do I get any consistency? Right? Seems like it's counterintuitive. Sam, you're telling me I got to be consistent, but there's no consistency in Elliott Wave. It's so subjective. Well, yeah, I hear that, right? I appreciate. I've been trading this way for a long time, so I completely understand your thinking there. But you've got to choose something. If this confuses you, or you're like, ah, fuck it, that's just a pain in the ass. I don't want to have to memorize all those rules. Trading should be simple. Well, in theory, that's true, right? As I will often tell you, go through our belt system. Elliott Wave is not the priority. It's just another tool. Now, but it can produce very useful probability zones. It's not a crystal ball. This is not saying that we are absolutely going up here to get to this 5. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if we start to trend that direction, we can use this tendency for these patterns to repeat to our advantage. Now, can we add into that what the algorithms are likely doing? Right? That's the whole premise. Oh, and then can we put some market geometry that we can apply some rule set to what we think is going on here? Does that add anything to the puzzle? Can we apply that puzzle piece and say, oh, what's that doing for me? You start putting all of those together, and what you'll notice here, and granted, I've been doing this for a long time, but every single analysis is done the exact same way. Every time. That's the power of it. That's your advantage. That's the edge you have. It's not going, oh shit, man, I'm not sure about that. I'm going to try something a little different this time. Now you've lost your edge. All right, you don't get much of an edge in the markets, guys. You don't. Right? This is a battleground, right? You gotta just do the best you can to prepare yourself for that battle, and that means thinking, trying to disengage from the emotional impact of that, trying to disengage from the rush. Oh man, this is exciting. Oh man, if that goes, oh man, the shit I'm gonna buy. You want to de-emphasize as much as you can. Just another trade. I say it to myself all the time. Just another trade, right? Let's not get overly excited, overly concerned if it gets stopped out. How do you do that, right? Discipline, consistency, money management. Where's your stop? You guys get the idea. Well, I got on a bit of a little preach session there. I didn't mean to do that. But there you go. All right, so we got 2 counts here to look at. A couple of places where you can be adding. If this starts to roll over, well, you got to reconsider the count. As I've said often, I'm not one to short major cryptos. So I will not be looking for a short here personally. That's not shit. I've got senseis that short this stuff all the time. It's just not what I'm looking for in here. I'm looking for the buy side. All right, if I'm wrong, I'll take the stop. Next trade. You guys get the idea. All right, that'll do it for today. Oh shit, I say that. I think I've got a couple more for you guys. Okay, back to